Lot. This is Africa News, and Mali has a new democratically elected president and is hopefully on the way to turning the page on a troubled national chapter. Also, South African gold mining strikes continue to threaten the country's economy, and Senegal's new justice minister sparks controversy. First up, Mali's new president was sworn in on Wednesday, signalling a return to democracy and hopefully stability for the nation after almost a year and a half of turbulence. As he took the oath of office at the Supreme Court in Bamako, Ibrahim Boubacar Keita thanked the international community for helping Mali recapture the north from jihadist invaders. A French-led military intervention helped turn that around in February. Over the previous 10 months, Mali had suffered a coup and a Tuareg rebellion. Today, IBK, as Keita is known, vowed to do what he can to repair the damage done by the recent crisis.
National reconciliation is our most pressing priority. From tomorrow, we will take appropriate steps to bring a lasting peace, to break this cycle of rebellions in the north. I will bring an end to impunity, to bribes, which are at the source of all corruption in judicial and state institutions. I will restore the authority of the state in parallel with a tireless fight against corruption, which inhibits our ability to come out of social and economic underdevelopment.
Well, whilst national unity and a corruption crackdown are important issues, many Malians are hoping that under their new president, they'll see an improvement to their day-to-day lives. Many keen to see the country quickly turn the page on this chapter of uncertainty followed IBK's inauguration today closely. Our correspondent sent us this report.
It was while welding that these men listened to the swearing-in ceremony of their new president, Ibrahim Boubacar Keita, or IBK. Suleiman is the owner of this workshop, which employs 12 people. For him, it's food security that needs to be urgently addressed.
He needs to develop the country's agriculture because there's a lot of poverty here. If he develops our agriculture, people will have enough to eat, and it will make his job and everyone else's a lot easier.
14-year-old Maimouna is hopeful that the man on the clothes she sells can help her economy.
I want IBK to rebuild this country. He needs to take pity on and help the poor in particular.
The economy is a major issue, but just one. This bookkeeper wants more accountability in government.
Mali is expecting a lot from him. We need security, political stability, economic improvements. Unemployment here is really very high.
A very full in-tray then for Mali's new president, speaking just after taking the oath of office. Keita said that he would make national reconciliation his top priority, but that he was aware of other pressing issues.
Well, Eve Irvine, who sent us that report, is still in Bamako. She tells us more about the tight deadline IBK has to deal with over the sensitive issue of peace talks with MNLA Tuareg separatists in the north.
One of the first tasks we expect will be entering those talks with Tuareg separatist rebels. The group MNLA are still in control of the northern town of Kidal. They're still demanding greater autonomy. Now, IBK at his swearing-in ceremony on Wednesday said that this was really a pressing priority for him. He wants to end the cycle of rebellions in the northern part of the country. There have been 4 rebellions since Mali gained independence from France in 1960. Now, in years gone by, IBK was against negotiations, but he did say he would look at this issue as early as Thursday, according to an agreement signed with the MNLA back in June to allow for the presidential polls. The new president has 60 days from forming his new government between which to enter into talks with that group. And it's a very complicated issue as people here are divided about it, many blaming the separatist Tuareg rebels for starting the upheaval and violence of the last 18 months.
Now, Eve, the Tuareg issue is undoubtedly very important, but it is also a very niche issue. Will settling that detract much from the business of tackling the priorities of the majority of Malians for whom the Tuareg question really isn't an issue?
Well, I think for most Malians, the toy question is at least a minor issue. It's caused the last 18 months of chaos, of violence. It's brought the economy down over 1% in the last year. So it's of great concern to everyone. But as you said, there are other issues, and the new president, just shortly after he took the oath of office, wanted definitely to show his awareness of those other issues. Speaking at the conference centre, IBK said that he would request a thorough inquiry into the recent floods here in the capital of Bamako, floods that left over 30 people dead, and he said he would look into exactly how that could happen. It's still the rainy season here for another good month, so it's definitely a topic that is at the forefront of people's minds as we spoke to them on this important day.
In other news, South African mining unions and gold producers may stand a chance at finding some kind of compromise over stalled wage negotiations that prompted miners to go on strike from last night. Two small companies have agreed to pay up to 8% rises for their workers, and the National Union of Mine Workers says it may lower its demand from the 60% hike it had originally been holding out for. Over 100,000 workers have downed tools as the talks continue.
South African gold mines are paralyzed again by a strike movement. Annual talks about wages fell through on Tuesday. The National Union of Mine Workers is demanding a 15% wage increase, while management does not want to go beyond 7%, which is lower than the inflation rate. Last year, miners organized several wild strikes independent of the National Union. The union wants to restore its credibility.
We should be able to give a mining industry a very big strike. Of course, unfortunately, this strike will mark the beginning of their end. But clearly, because we are not benefiting anything out of this industry, we think that this strike is necessary.
Industry leaders are complaining that South African mines are losing their competitive edge due to the numerous strikes. The world's #1 producer of gold until 2007, South Africa is only in 5th place today. The government is seriously concerned and is calling for dialogue. Strikes are costing hundreds of thousands of rands to the country's economy.
Our concern is about the parties being able to find an amicable solution as soon as they can. And we also have to accept that any strike prolonged indeed do have an impact on the economy.
The car and construction industries are also hit by the strike movement. Unions are demanding a yearly wage increase of 10% for the next 3 years. Negotiations are underway.
In Senegal, there's controversy over the man chosen this week to take over as the country's new Justice Minister. Sidiki Kaba joins the cabinet for the first time. He was one of the lawyers prosecuting Chad's former president on crimes against humanity charges in a Senegalese court. Hussein Abri's defence says Kaba's government post, creates a conflict of interest.
Sidiki Kaba is a respected lawyer. He was the first African to head the International Federation for Human Rights. Last year, he met François Hollande to talk about the case of former Chadian President Hissène Habré. Kaba was the lawyer of many of his victims.
One major issue is the Habré case. The trial must take place in Dakar. The Chadian victims have been waiting for this for 20 years. Now, an agreement has been signed between Senegal and the African Union. The trial will take place. That's justice.
But Habré's lawyers say the fact Kaba has been named Justice Minister creates a conflict of interest.
I am calling on my excellent colleague, who is a brilliant lawyer and a great defender of human rights, to resign until the end of these legal procedures, and then to return to his post, or to ask the president to give him another ministry. He is very competent, but he cannot be both judge and jury.
Others say Kaba's reputation is a guarantee that the trial will be unbiased.
I don't see why we can't hold a fair trial here in Senegal. On the contrary, Sidiki Kaba's nomination will contribute a great deal to a fair trial.
His nomination has also caused controversy because Kaba has been the lawyer of a rich businessman accused of embezzlement. Kaba knows that his decisions as Justice Minister will be examined very closely by his detractors. At 63 years old, he embarks on one of the biggest challenges of his professional life.
The head of Egypt's prison authority has been sacked for allegedly turning a blind eye to meetings between Islamists detained in a crackdown on the Muslim Brotherhood. Now, there are fears the army's ouster of Islamist-backed President Morsi in July could spark an insurgency. The Sinai Peninsula has been particularly restive. The Egyptian military claimed victory over armed radicals there after launching airstrikes on Tuesday, but jihadists say the operation was a fake. Meanwhile, the interim president, Adli Mansour, insists that despite the ongoing troubles and violence, he's committed to lifting the state of emergency that's been in place for over a month.
Terrorism and the war waged by some extremists forced us to take that measure. As a man of the law, I didn't wish to resort to this. We're seeing the security situation improve. And if security continues to gradually improve, I think there is no need to extend the state of emergency.
That wraps up African news from me, but I will be back with more tomorrow, Laura.
Georgette, thank you very much indeed.
You.
It's time for a short break here on France 24. When we come back, President Obama and Vladimir Putin will be coming face to face at the G20 summit in St. Petersburg in a matter of hours. Will they come to any agreement over Syria? We'll have more on that up next.